airport too. But look at that. Look through those numbers. Look who came to the party. These people they're sheepdogs. They're sworn. They will crawl over broken glass to come and stop this monster. It's why they exist. Every person with a badge and a gun and a radio in shouting distance is coming. They're not going to get there in time to help us, and we have to accept that and take that inoculation. Right? Now, here's a video. It's a couple minutes. It's a montage, and there's a lot to listen to and watch in it. All right. Try to personalize it a little bit, and we'll see what we can learn from it.
It's probably the worst experience I've ever been in my life. I mean, it's the most terrifying. And you always kind of, imagine what would you do. You hear about these horrible incidences, and you got to kind of ask yourself, what would I do in a situation like that? And the only thing I could do was just keep my eyes down the hallway to make sure he wasn't coming down, and just try to keep calm. But everybody was just going crazy. It was probably the most terrifying experience I've ever been through.
Everybody. Chill, 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 chill. Come on, guys.
What I heard. I heard the gunshots. I was going through the security gate, and I was picking up my stuff, and I saw people hit the ground and scurrying, and TSA agents telling people to run towards the gates.
I put my boot in the tray, and all of a sudden we heard the shots, and we all fell to the floor and on top of each other, and it was like a dream. It wasn't real. It was like a movie. It was so intense, and it wasn't normal to hear that. And so we all just panicked and just started flooding through the screening X-ray machines, and TSA was right there with us, and we just didn't know what to do. It's just unreal right now. I'm shaking. I'm scared. I don't know if we're still safe.
And we got pulled into a room that they pulled a copy machine in front of the door, and it was under a desk. At which point we weren't allowed to leave the room, but you could hear a lot of shouting and more gunshots outside the room.
What was happening around you?
Just pure and utter mayhem. I mean, people were tripping over each other on the floor, pads everywhere, crying, screaming.
And once you run into this room and someone grabs a copy machine and shoves it up against the door, what's everyone saying around you?
Everyone said to turn cell phone ringers off. People were holding each other's hands. They didn't want to open the door when the security manager came because we didn't know who it was.
And you were turning the cell phone ringers off because the fear was this person was roaming around the airport and you didn't want to make a sound. Is that right?
Yeah.
The first frantic calls to police came in just after 8:15 a.m. Shots fired. Several people injured at the U.S. Navy Yard.
I heard 3 shots. Pow, pow, pow. 30 seconds later, I heard 4 more shots, and a couple of us that were in the cafeteria knew they were shots, and we started panicking.
I know that I lost a friend today. I lost someone who I had served with in the Pentagon years ago with, I believe, to be one of the fatalities.
As he came around the corner, he aimed his gun at us, and then he fired at least 2 or 3 shots.
3,000 people work at the facility just miles from the White House and the Capitol.
He was far enough down the hall that we couldn't see his face, but we could see him with the rifle, and he raised and aimed at us and fired, and he hit high on the wall.
Everybody hear the magic word? Scurrying? I had scurrying in my presentation for 4 years, by the way. This recent example. The man said it because that's what he saw. He looked around him and he saw that. There's 2 types of people that we learned about here. My dad always said, by the way, that we all set an example one way or the other, good and bad. There's a lot to be learned. There was poor Audrey, the lady in yellow, and I'm not picking on that woman. God bless her. She's went through something bad, and it's about to get worse because that lady is a prime candidate for PTSD. Did she sound to you like a person? whoever told herself this could happen to her, this thing hit her like an elephant out of a giant slingshot, right? You heard what she said. She said, we didn't know what to do, and so we just fell on top of each other. Stacks of wet flour. Then over there, you heard about the girl who got pulled into a conference room, and you heard an entirely different response going on. Now, why do we have, in a big public place, why do we have a large group of people behaving in one way, and another group of people in the same exact experience behaving in an entirely different way? It's because one group was prepared and one wasn't. And preparation is not hard, so let's start with that, okay? Here's a neat little factoid about how we work as humans. We have a nice little system. Observe, orient, decide, act. OODA. That's how we work. That's how we operate. Whatever you're doing in your life, if you're baking cookies or driving your car or in an active shooter event, you're doing that. That's the cycle. It's called the OODA loop. OODA. Observe, orient, decide, act. And here's how it works. We see something, or we hear, or we smell, or we touch. So the observation means any of our senses. Okay? Our human system, the machine, observes something. Say I smell something. The next thing that happens is that relational database tries immediately to orient to recognize it. That's the orient part. I smell something. What is that? I recognize it. Because it wants to learn about it because it needs to get to decision. That's the third part. Observe, orient, decide. The system is saying I need to decide, so I need to orient. What is this? Oh, I think it's a cookie, and oh, I remember I like cookies, so my decision's going to be go find a cookie. And then the last thing is the action. And so, since I'm going to go find the cookie, I'm going to get up and go. And then when I get to the kitchen, a whole new OODA loop starts. The observation is, there they are. The orientation is, those are cookies. And the decision is, go over there and get one, and the action is cookie. And then I pick up a cookie, and I take a bite, and I taste it, and I realize it's awful. I didn't know how to cook it. So the orientation now is, I hate that, never do that again. And the decision is, drop it, put it down, and the action is dropping it. So whatever you're doing, that's the process our system takes. So let's apply that to Audrey right now, okay? The poor lady in yellow at the airport. The observation was this horrific thing. Someone is shooting. Or think of the lady at the Navy Yard. We heard shots, pow, pow, pow. We knew they were shots, right? The observation, something happening. The orientation for Audrey was, she said it. It wasn't normal. We didn't know what it was. So the orientation is sitting there spinning like on your computer, the wheel of death. So somewhere in orientation between there and decision, our system, we have something called a midbrain, and we have a forebrain. And the midbrain is not thinking rationally. It's part of our primal response. If you've never prepared and you don't have a decision ready, your system's going to go to the factory equipment, the stuff that we roll off the assembly line. Have you ever heard of the fight or flight response? Technically, it's actually called the fight, flight, or freeze response. That's factory equipment. That's what we have. And it's not very good. And it's completely unpredictable. And the example I will give you is Audrey. Observe. Freak out. Shots. Orientation. I don't know what that is. Midbrain. Reaching for something. Clumsily grabs factory equipment. And it grabbed the wrong one. It grabbed freeze. And so she froze and fell down like a stack of flour. And she should have run. There's no guarantee what you're going to get with that factory equipment, right? The people in the conference room, let's go to their OODA loop for a minute. I guarantee you one or two at least of the people in that room had either some training like this, or they watched the video that we're going to ask you to watch when you go home, or they took a class or read something on the web. Because theirs went like this. Observation. Whoa, same startle and everything. Whoa, that's bad. Orientation. Relational database recognizes this. Man with gun. Decision. Well, since I took the class or whatever, it's easy. Get in the conference room. Barricade the door. Turn down your cell phone. We don't want your Lady Gaga ringtone tipping off the monster. Right? They did that. Now, guess what? Guess who's feeling helpless? What did I say drives PTSD? Helplessness and uncontrolled fear. Audrey's helpless. She does not know what to do. She's in the midbrain. Those people were empowered. They took action. They did something. They made a decision, and it was a good one, and they took a good action. They were traumatized, and it was bad for them. But their survivability went through the roof, and their long-term health is better now because of that. So this OODA loop concept is, it's, by the way, corporations use this, sports teams use this, the military uses it, and I'm crazy, because this is the way to get human performance up. Everything you've ever done is in your OODA loop. And you have to take direct responsibility, right? The police are not coming on time to save us. I'm sorry. It's up to us. Fear is a great motivator. It is a lousy leader. When fear leads us, bad things happen. We go straight to PTSD, all right? So we don't have to be following fear. We can use fear to keep us going, and we're going to be scared because this is scary stuff. Someone's trying to kill us. But it doesn't have to lead us, okay? So let's talk about our mental condition as we go through life in general. This is great to talk to anyone you love about, too. It really helps a lot when it's not difficult. So we go through life in certain mental conditions, if you will, and we'll use color codes to make it easy to remember. And the first one to talk about is condition white. Relaxed, unaware. Condition white. Now, as a Marine and an all-around tough guy, I promised myself 20 or more years ago I will never be caught in condition white. And I break that promise every day, still. Because I'm still at least partially human. It happens to us. Here's what it might look like for me, all right? It's Friday. Been a long week. I'm going to go home. My daughter, Anna, or my son, or my family, we've been wanting to watch a movie. So that's what I'm thinking about. So I'm going to go home, and now I'm home. And I'm going to sit on the couch and watch the movie. And I don't know if I locked the door. I'm not thinking about it. Condition white. All I'm thinking about is the movie, and I got some ice cream, or a beer, and a beer. I'm watching the movie. Don't judge me. We don't want to be there. And we don't have to be there at all because we have, today on special, we have conditioned home. And this is where all of us want to be, right? Relaxed, aware. It does not make you paranoid. It makes you mindful, not fearful. All right, same example. I'm home, long week, on the couch.